Islam is on the move. There's an excitement in Islam today.
Islam is moving and growing faster than any world religion today.
If you are a Muslim, there's a sense of community that makes Islam almost impregnable.
Muslims see Christians as those who worship idols. When the Muslims say Christians, Christians are the people who are not Muslims.
We should try to start correcting ourselves, our attitudes, our perspective, eventually genuine outreach to these people.
The church, by and large, is not interested in Muslim evangelism. It's too tough, it's dangerous. So a friend of ours went and did a survey of Christians around the world in Muslim countries and said to the Christians, leaders, why don't you evangelize the Muslims that are around you? And he got 8 reasons why Christians do not evangelize Muslims. It's startling. Let me give you this, and you try to run it through a New Testament grid and see if you can find it. Number 1, Muslims cannot really become born again. Number 2, Muslims deserve to go to hell. God made hell as a place to punish Muslims. Number 3, Muslims convert only for financial gain to marry Christian girls. Number 4, Muslims converts revert to Islam when assistance ceases. Number 5, converts will siphon off money from the traditional church. Number 6, if too many Muslims convert, then they will take over church leadership. Number 7, Muslims will persecute Christians if they evangelize. Number 8, Muslim evangelism, I love this one, is not cost effective. 8 reasons! And I have seen all 8 reasons played out. I've seen it in the Bangladesh church, where the church would not at all be willing to go out and evangelize Muslims. And I told you for 13 years I tried to motivate them unsuccessfully, finally gave up, and our team went direct to Muslims, and we began to see the results that we see today.
Christians don't respect how we worship. There should be respect in what others believe, whether you are a foreigner, a Muslim, or a Christian. Because sometimes, Christians don't respect our faith to Allah and they misunderstand us. They regard every Muslim as a terrorist. Even Asian Muslims are from Islam countries like Kuwait and Iraq.
Pada dasarnya sih mereka berpikir kalau
basically the Muslim looks at the Christian as kafir, which means the people that do not believe in God.
Mengkaitkan bahwa Kristen itu dengan budaya Barat, dan ternyata
they also think our view of the Trinity means we worship 3 gods.
Barat itu dengan Kristen, dan apalagi ketika
they consider anything that is Western or immoral to be Christian. They are also taught not to trust or have anything to do with Christians who worship multiple gods.
Muslim melihat orang Kristen itu seperti apa?
Christians are so fearful. Many Christians, they don't like to talk or even just to sit beside a Muslim. I have so many observations. Even Christian leaders, which breaks our heart who are reaching to the Muslim. Just to sit with them, most of Christians don't like.
There are so many commonalities, as you will see in this brief overview today, between Islam and Judaism and Christianity. So we all go back to Abraham, and even further back, we go back to Adam and Eve. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism all go back to Adam and Eve. But at the point of divergence, we come to Abraham, because Abraham had a first son. So Muslims say, where does the lineage go? The lineage always goes through the first son. And the first son's name was what? Ishmael. And so why are you talking about Isaac? Isaac's irrelevant. We are looking to the first son, not the second son. And so then they pick up Ishmael at this point and head off to generally feeling that these are the Arabs. And then out of the Arabs came Muhammad. Out of Muhammad and Islam came Muslims.
For all people to come before God to raise up their voices in worship acknowledges the greatness and the awesome power of God over all things, His sovereignty over all things. And of course, the thing that really, fascinates me is that at this point in time, we don't see that. At this point in time, we say it seems to be impossible to see that all of these people who are, many of them who are hostile to Christ, especially among the Muslims, who have so much distortions about who Christ is. But in the book of Revelation, it speaks about among these people right now who are against Christ, there will be those who will be before the throne of God, because through God's mercy, He will be communicating His love through His servants, that's us. And we will be able to communicate it by the power of the Holy Spirit. They will understand because God will open their eyes. Again, it's the sovereignty of God. And it's just a great thing that despite the hostility of man to God, God still reaches out in love. The Lord tells us that we must love Him with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength. But the only way that can really be translated in this world today is that we love our neighbor as ourselves. And Muslims are our neighbors. And they deserve the same kind of love that we have received from God.
The majority, by far, it would be a Muslim more prone toward nominality in practice, but adherence to community values, and maybe go to the mosque on Friday at noon. This would be the huge group, and they don't want to have jihad. They don't want to have disrupted communities. Say they live in England, they live in Paris, they live wherever in Europe. They are really kind of wanting to just get on with life. That is a huge majority. Now, the next question comes along that why don't more Muslim priests, imams, make a big statement around the world that all of these terrible activities are against God, against Islam, and against the Quran? Why don't they make a stand? Why are they so quiet? There again, you have to come back to community. Their community is so integrative that you don't speak anything against Islam, you don't speak against anything in which people are waving the banner of Islam. And so basically the people are kind of muted down is one issue, to not have disruption in community or not look like Muslim against Muslim.
Muslims see Christians as those who worship idols. So when the Muslims say Christians are the people who are not Muslims. And even if they are other religion like Buddhism, they still say that those are Christians because they are not Muslims. And yeah, it's sad because they generalize the Christians, maybe also how we generalize the Muslims. That's why it's up to us how we show what Christianity is. We think of Christians as those who smoke, those who drink liquor, and those who are involved in prostitution. Those are Christians.
It's sad because what Muslims understand about Christians first come from what they see on the exterior. Now, in Islamic countries especially, where they are they have this Islamic culture. The only way for them to see Christianity would be to watch TV. Now, and in fact, among the more devout Muslims, they frown upon, other Muslims who use watching TV. But when they watch TV, they watch movies, when they read newspapers, what do they see? They see the scandals, okay? They see the immorality. They know that the West is the biggest user of drugs. The Muslims see themselves as a community, an ummah. That's why it's harder to break into Islam. That's why it's also harder to convert Muslims, because they see themselves as one. If one would break out, he is cut off from the ummah, from the family of Islam. They teach their children never to trust Christians.
This story was so clear to me that I could very well remember it. One night I had a dream, and in my dreams, I saw a man wrapped in white with his blood flowing to the peoples of different nationalities. But as I look on every corner, it seems that nobody was noticing him except myself. That was so strange. But I have a strong feeling that it's Isa. I believe it's Jesus. So when I woke up that same night, I tried to ask the staff of the boarding house where I stay. I asked them, what could be the meaning of that dream? One of the staff there, who is a Christian, told me about Jesus' blood to cleanse our sins. She even explained to me the Bible truths about it. Then I came to know the Lord. The staff led me to pray the prayer of acceptance, and I could tell that it's so different. I really felt God's presence. Then the next night, I had another dream, but this time in my dreams, I was standing on top of a high building with all the staff, while my relatives are down looking up to me. And they were asking me, "Hey, why are you there? Come down here. You don't belong to them. You belong to us." But I took a stand and told them, "No, I belong here. I know this is the right place for me with the Christians."
I think that concept of the ummah, which is the community of, or the brotherhood of Islam, the universal ummah, their concept of the ummah is, I believe, stronger than our concept of the universal church. That's why these countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE, I mean, they finance. It is automatic. When there are requests for the building of new mosques, it goes to Saudi Arabia, and they really finance this. And they try to build beautiful mosques, especially in key urban centers. So even if it's a mosque being built in the United States, a lot of the funds also come from Saudi Arabia. So whereas we, the church, I mean, we claim to be one body, and yet we don't reflect that.
Ang napapansin ko po,
most of the companies here are owned by Christians. I noticed then that when a Muslim like me applies for a job, even a simple job, they won't accept us because they think that all Muslims have poor education and they have known us to be violent. They think Muslims would do only bad things. But they are wrong. That's not true. They don't really treat us well.
Just my experience, I guess I've only had experience with 2 Muslims in all these years that has generated fear in my life. And almost all of my experiences have been positive or within the realm of no fear experience. So I think this fear thing is overdone. And I think that if the greatest thing about fear is the unknown, and stories that abound that make things worse than they really are. So I guess my response to that would be, have these Muslims over to your house for a cup of tea, or ask them how you could help with their kids in tutorial type of help, or any other ministry of that will lead to a relationship. And I think by and large it'll dissipate the fear, and you will have an enjoyable friendship. So I think just pick out a family would be the first thing. Pick out a family and make the first move. I was just talking to one of the students here, was a student here at the seminary, saying she grew up among the Muslims in Cotabato City in Maguindanao area of Mindanao. And she said their house was first, and then Muslims moved in all around. And she said they were the nicest people. We never had a problem from all those Muslims that came in. Well, that needs to be said and needs to be understood and realized.
제가 인도네시아에 5번 정도.
I have visited Indonesia for about 5 times now. What I was thankful for most was that there were some Muslims who lived in front of us. I was thinking how I can become friends with them.
그들에게 제가 어떻게 하면
I began to greet to them with an Indonesian good morning, salamat pagi. At first, they did not respond, but I continued to greet them. But a few days later, they began to greet me with salamat pagi, even before I said it to them.
salamat pagi 하고 인사를 먼저 하는 거예요.
With experience, I realized when I open my heart and be friends with Muslims, I can witness the gospel to them. At first, I had biases and wrong perceptions toward them, but I realized that they are the same human beings just like me, and they can hear the word of God.
사람들이라는 걸 깨닫게 됐습니다.
Every time we go to the market, they greet us, and we become friends to them. We even invite them home for a dinner or for lunch. And in that way, they are so privileged that they said, no Christians do that to us because they don't trust us. Why do you invite us even over in your house to eat with you? And that's something that blows their mind. And we said, this is the love of Christ that we're sharing with you. And we want to show you that we are not afraid of you like what other people say about Muslims. We believe you are also good people, and you deserve a friend, and you deserve Christian friends also. And then we just noticed that every time we go to the community, to their community, they will be very proud of us and say, hey, these are my friends, they are my Christian friends. We even went to their house to eat with them, with their family. And it's really a step, maybe more on from us Christians. If we want to have Muslim friends, we should be friends ourselves. And we should be the first one to make the move to reach them.
One of the teachers said, communication is not what is said, but what is heard. I think in Muslim evangelism, we need to be sensitive on that. We cannot just tell them, Jesus loves you, Jesus cares for you. They need to see that. They need to feel that love. We need to learn from our history, church history. Just Indira Gandhi said that he likes the Bible, he likes Jesus, he likes everything, but he don't like Christians. I think we need to learn from that. We need to look at them as a real people who needs to be cared, to be loved, and to show compassion on them. I think that's the most effective way of preaching to the Muslim.
I think the failure of the church in reaching out to Muslims is because it has been sidetracked in trying to fulfill its own desires and needs. I think the church is too earthly minded today rather than being heavenly minded. That we're living for the here and now. We want pleasures here and now. We want to be gratified here and now. Unlike the church of old. That's why the church of old would be willing to sacrifice, to be willing to walk in self-denial and follow Jesus Christ. Whereas the church today seeks and pursues comfort and trying to reach out to Muslims, which is dangerous, which is difficult, which has no, which is hard to get some fruit out of. That is not very attractive to the church. We want instant gratification. So we want to see big churches, and that's not going to happen among the Muslims. At least that's what we see. But if we start having a change of heart, if there were more people reaching out to Muslims today, I believe there would be many, many more Muslims who have come to Christ. The thing is that hardly anyone is doing that. Hardly anyone, sadly. We're reaching out to really the Christianized people already. Again, we have the wrong mindset.
My last word is that I would really ask some of you to consider Muslim ministry. Some of you are just thinking, man, I'm studying here. I just want to get a church. If I can just get 50 people, that'll be a great way to start. And hey, I'll give you 4 million people, okay? Give up the 50 and take 4 million. Really? I'm serious. If I had my life to live over again, 43 and a half years of ministry, I'd go exactly the same route I've gone. With the pain and the hardships and the deprivations and anything that's within my life for the 43 and a half years, Julie and I consider it a tremendous privilege to have worked among Muslims. Tremendous. We've met the best of Muslims, we've met the worst of Muslims. Our heart has been enlarged, and we've survived. Isn't that fantastic? And we survived. And so I recommend the ministry to you. I sincerely do.
First and foremost, what we must do is pray that we may have a change of heart about the Muslims and start destroying our mental stereotypes of them and look to them with the eyes of love. We have to start praying for them as well. The third is that we have to start really trying to understand what they believe in. It is really about letting God's love be conveyed to them and live a life that honors God, and therefore being a witness to them comes as a natural result of that.